COVID-19 has affected a lot of groups that do a lot of good things in our community. We've been talking to local businesses and nonprofits, but we have yet to talk to those in the foster community. And who better to tell us the needs of the foster community than Mrs. Central State International 2020 herself, Ashley Ray. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, you are you have a great personal story about why foster care is important to you. Let's start with that as we talk about how COVID has affected the foster community.
Sure. So a little bit about how we got started. So my husband and I are impacted by infertility, and it was through that journey that led us down the path of adoption and foster care. And through our personal experiences with adoption and foster care, we were compelled to launch the Be a Foster movement in an effort to create conversation and understanding around the undeniable impacts of foster care and the increasing need for loving foster families.
And of course, foster care, we know the need is huge. We talk about that a lot with you, but everything has been turned upside down. How has COVID affected the foster community?
Yeah, unfortunately, the many short-term and long-term effects of COVID-19 are increasing the impacts that are felt by the world's already at-risk families and children. We are seeing an increase right now because of quarantine and social distancing. We're seeing an increase in child abuse and neglect, and those are two of the most common reasons why children are taken out of the home and placed into the foster care system. So you think of an already stable environment, an already stable home. The effects of quarantine and social distancing, they're affecting stable families. I mean, there's tensions and there's stress and there's anxieties and worries and fears. And now you put that into an environment that's maybe already at risk, that maybe doesn't have those coping skills that stable families do. It's just going to increase all of those feelings and those emotions and those stressors. And that's where your increase in child abuse and neglect are coming in. And so eventually what I feel we're going to see is that increase in children that come into the system. Right now, because of social distancing, a lot of these families that were receiving services before, they're not able to receive the services now. And there's only so much that we can see with phones. And a lot of it we can shelter and not show people. And so again, right now it's just, we need to do everything that we can. We need to do our part to flatten the curve and to get society back to that quote unquote normal, so these children can get back into school and these families can start receiving those consistent services that they were before.
Can people who feel like they want to help, can they start the process now with where we are if they want to be a foster family?
Absolutely. And I've said now more than ever, we have the time. Before all of this happened, we could always find excuses as to why we didn't have the time to go through the process or fill out the paperwork or take the training. And now more than ever, we have the time. And so reach out to social services, to county services, to another foster family. Reach out and start asking questions, start gathering information, start looking at the paperwork. And there's nothing that's committing you to it. We understand that it's not for everybody. We understand that maybe not now, but maybe down in the future, it might work for you and it might not. But you've at least gone through the process. You've at least gathered the information to see what's all involved. And if it's a good fit for you, wonderful, because we need families. And if it's not, there are endless ways to support the foster community and these at-risk families and children without being a foster family yourself.
What are some of those other ways you can support the foster community?
So right now, reach out to foster families because it's a very challenging journey. It can be a very lonely journey the way it is. And now while we're all social distancing and quarantined away from each other, we're even more isolated. So if you know of a foster family, reach out. Just show that emotional support that you're there, you're thinking about them. And then, of course, the at-risk families, those are the ones that we're really concerned about right now during this time. Reach out to social services, to county services. They're the ones that can identify those families. We don't know who they are, but they do. And so we can reach out to them and say, okay, you know who these families are. In what ways can we maybe help alleviate some of the stressors that they're going through right now? It might be through a donation. It might be running errands for them. Some of these families have limited access to transportation and, things like this that we're doing now. So there are so many different ways that we can help them. We just need to reach out and ask the appropriate people.
What are we talking about in terms of numbers?
Nationally right now, we see on average about 437,000 U.S. children in foster care, and there's only about an average of 200,000 licensed foster homes, 30 to 60% of which drop out each year. And so there's that constant turnover, and there's that constant need for new families coming into the system. And part of the Be a Foster movement, one of our goals is to eliminate some of those misconceptions and create realistic expectations of what the foster care experience is. We want to provide support outlets also for prospective and current foster families to hopefully reduce some of that burnout going into it, to reduce that, that 30 to 60%. But right here in North Dakota, our needs are great. I'm up here in Grand Forks. I know you're down in Fargo, but Grand Forks County at one point, and we might still be, we had one of the highest rates for children in the foster care system. So the need is there. We are simply encouraging people to please reach out and start gathering information now to learn about it, to see if this is an appropriate fit for you and your family.
So what's the first step, or where's a good place for people to go to just check out some of the information and get started?
Yeah, so if you know a foster family, reach out to them. Otherwise, you can go on to, if you Google, foster care in your area, a lot of sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the exact website I was going to give you, but a lot of our county services, social services, human services, the North Dakota Department of Health, we have PATH. You can reach out to PATH. There's Pride training. You can reach out and Google Pride training. There's information there. But right now, I also, in addition to this, I publish It's Her Brand magazine, and our current quarterly issue focuses on the impacts of foster care. And so we've collaborated with different organizations like PATH, like Lutheran Social Services of North Dakota, like ASK, which is Adults Adopting Special Kids. There's so many organizations out there in the state of North Dakota that are serving the needs of these families and these children that are there to support foster families, to walk you through that process. So I would just say start reaching out to some of those organizations. Just start Googling foster care in your area, and you're going to get a list of resources and numbers to call.
Ashley Ray, thank you so much for what you do and taking some time to visit with us today. Let's think about the kids in the foster communities. It's a great time to do it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Stay with us. Coming up on North Dakota Today, the University of North Dakota is taking part in some groundbreaking research in the fight against COVID-19. We'll tell you all about it next.